Welcome in, everybody. The NFL season has finally arrived. There's nothing better than NFL football, except maybe parlaying that with some prop bets to cash in for week one. If that sounds like something you can get behind, sit tight because in just a second, we're going to get into some touchdown props for week one of the NFL season. Welcome in. You are currently on the DFSG Plus channel. I'm your host, Axton Harding, and on this edition of the show, or the channel rather, we're going to be getting into touchdown props all season long. If you were rocking with us last year, you know what we're all about. I'm all about the touchdown parlay buffet. That's what I've coined the term. I essentially just lay out a parlay of touchdown prop bets that I like for the season. I make my case, and you guys get to pick and choose which ones you like, which ones you don't. If you don't like any, that's fine, but maybe one or two speak to you and you want to parlay them with something else you like or parlay them together, whatever you like. I'm going to bring you good stuff this season that will help stretch some odds and add a little more context to some of your betting plays this season. So stay tuned and look out for future shows. But for this one, we're going to get into week one prop bets. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. For the Thursday night game, we're going to get into some Thursday night football. I've got a couple of nice little bets for you guys. Nothing too crazy, but I did want to get something in for the first game of the season. We've got the Philadelphia Eagles at home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I've got one play for both sides, or for either side of the ball. For the Dallas Cowboys side here, I decided to go with some George Pickens at for an anytime touchdown. He comes in at plus 215, so you're looking at profiting over double your cash. And this is just week one with George Pickens going into Dallas, gets a new kind of regime or a new look to his career. Now he gets a better quarterback. He doesn't have to be the focal point of this offense. At 215, I kind of like this play as a straight bet if you want to put a few bucks down or something like that. But it really helps the payout in your parlays because George Pickens and what I'm going to get into here in just a second. There's a lot of good potential here with this play. So you add it to another leg, and it can kind of really stretch your odds to 4 or 5 times. So, another aspect with this matchup is the fact that the Dallas Cowboys traded away Micah Parsons last week. So Dallas is going to have to air it out in order to stay in this game to compete with the former NFL Super Bowl champs in the Philadelphia Eagles. So with Parsons no longer on the defensive line, now they've got Kenny Clark on the defensive interior. I think it's just going to mean that Philadelphia is going to kind of have their way in the ground game. Dallas is going to have to air it out. And Dak Prescott, we've seen, can throw 40 or more times a game. With a full season, he can be a guy who can put up top 5 numbers in multiple categories. And he is definitely no stranger to airing it out. So I think now this also helps CD Lamb kind of open the field up for him. But the fact that George Pickens gets to be on a team where he's the 2 is just outstanding because he's already a good big play type of wide receiver where he can stretch the field and kind of allow quarterbacks to kind of take some deep shots, and he's a good jump ball specialist. So he's already having that big play upside. Now he gets the best quarterback of his career in Dak Prescott. He gets the attention shifted away from him now to the other side of the field with CD Lamb. So he's facing opposing defenses cornerback 2. So you best believe that Dak's going to be looking for Pickens inside the 20, and I like the nice juicy odds here for week one at plus 215. So that's my case for George Pickens. Now, if we want to look at my play for the other side of the ball, I kept it pretty chalk here. We're looking at Jalen Hurts minus 150 at home versus Pittsburgh. I wanted to keep this one chalk because honestly, I was putting these together, and Jalen Hurts and George Pickens together can net you a plus 400 or better return. So you're looking at 4 or 5 times the cash that you put on it. Depending on whatever your unit is, that can be a pretty healthy return. So it was kind of more of an intention to be added with something else because I'm gonna mention it a few times throughout the show that for week one we're probably gonna get the best odds that we're gonna have all season. Jalen Hurts in a week, if he scores a touchdown on the ground this season, is probably going to jump up to minus 200. And that's the same with other guys that I'm going to mention later on in the show. So if you have an inkling about some of these guys who are a more sure thing, like Jalen Hurts, and the fact that in 14 games last year, 14 complete games, I guess I should say, he scored a rushing touchdown in all but 4 games. I don't anticipate that to change because he's not really been banged up or anything to miss significant time. The only time he's missed games is just because the team knows that they've got a locked spot in the playoffs, and they just don't want to put him out there. But nonetheless, the tush push is going to continue. That ban did not go through, so I think that Jalen Hurts is going to continue doing what he does best, and that's when that's punched in when they get around the goal line. So again, it just makes for a nice little parlay piece. If you parlay it with something like George Pickens, again, you can get a nice healthy return, or maybe something else that you like. So I think now is the time to jump on these kind of chalk plays in week 1 while they're still not all that bad for a payout. Again, not really much of a straight bet type of play, but you pair it with something else and it can kind of help you out, make you feel a little bit more secure in at least one of those legs, so you might be able to take a longer shot on the other one. So, but now let's get into kind of some more about this. I mentioned that the Dallas Cowboys traded Micah Parsons whenever I was making my case for George Pickens. This also plays into for Jalen Hurts now that they kind of have a weaker overall offensive or defensive line in the Dallas Cowboys defensive line. Jalen Hurts is going to have a little bit easier time to break through that defensive line. Now, I guess the only caveat could be in this trade, they snagged Kenny Clark from the Green Bay Packers. I don't know if that was just to get something in return or if maybe they were trying to stop the tush push for week 1 to put him on the interior. But I think that's a fat chance in all honesty. Jalen Hurts with that success rate, he didn't really have any trouble punching it in last year. It didn't really matter the matchup. Didn't matter what defensive front you put in front of him. He was going to punch it in if they got close enough. So, like I mentioned earlier, you pair this with something like Pickens, a $10 wager on a 2-leg parlay can give you over a $50 return. So that was just something I was playing with. A nice small 2-leg parlay can pay out over $50. Sign me up for something like that. So, pair it up with something else that you like. I really like George Pickens and taking a shot on him. I will be putting down some money on him. So, just kind of my angles for the Thursday night football game there. So now let's get into Friday Night Lights. I've got one play for you for a Friday night game. I'm a Chiefs fan here, so of course I can go on and on about Travis Kelce's and Patrick Mahomes and Xavier Worthy's and Isaiah Pacheco's, but I'm going to keep it a little bit different and keep it more level-headed for you guys. And I'm actually going with someone you guys have seen here before, and that's Keenan Allen. Anytime touchdown comes in at plus 330 at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. Playing at home in LA is kind of a wishy-washy thing for the home team. They don't really get all that much of an advantage just because there's such a diverse fan base there. You're probably going to see a healthy amount of Kansas City Chiefs fans, but predominantly you're going to see a lot of Chargers fans, obviously. So, but nonetheless, Keenan Allen plus 330. This is a guy who this is a guy who's no stranger to LA. Excuse me. There for a second. No stranger to LA. He's already familiar with the quarterback and Justin Herbert. So there's a little bit of a narrative angle here where he returns back to his home, I guess you could say, and his home quarterback. And now he just kind of adds. He actually comes back to this team and doesn't have to be the primary target because Ladd McConkey emerged last season. So he's still a fundamentally sound veteran wide receiver. Even at 33 years old, we saw him earn a respectable 120 targets last year. From a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams, and he hauled in 7 touchdowns with overall bad, awful, bottom of the bucket quarterback play. So I imagine with Justin Herbert, the 70 catches on 120 targets last year could easily have been 100 or more catches, and that was a pretty high bar set on his overall career in terms of targets earned, even at 32. So the touchdowns with Justin Herbert could have went from 7 to 10 plus. In a season like last year with his kind of performances, it's just a lot of bad quarterback play. It wasn't overly flashy, but he was out there and he was getting things done. He was reliable for his quarterback, even though his quarterback wasn't reliable for him. So now I think coming back to LA gives him a new breath of fresh air, I guess, if you will. Now with a more respectable coaching staff, and he gets to reconnect with his quarterback, be the second target here. I think this just has all the makings for a Keenan Allen touchdown in the back of the end zone right over a Chiefs defense. defense, who's not really going to be paying a whole lot of attention to a 33-year-old wide receiver over the kind of backfield that they have and guys like Lad McConkey. So, I think the Chiefs are a top defense in the NFL, but don't forget this is a divisional matchup, so these two teams kind of have each other's numbers in that respect. So LA will have success on offense. They know the Chiefs' defense. They know how they're going to be able to push the ball downfield. I'm not going to say it's going to be a high-scoring game, but it's going to be competitive. It's a divisional matchup, so the odds are no doubt worth a sprinkle here at plus 30 for Keenan Allen, plus 330 for Keenan Allen. All right, let's get into Sunday football. My first one here is a juicy one. This is probably one of my favorite plays of the week, and that's David Njoku to score an anytime touchdown. Comes in at plus 230 in his game at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. You can go for the chalk plays in Brown, Chase, and T. Higgins all you want, but I think the value is here on the Cleveland side of the ball. And David Njoku's quarterback for week 1 is Joe Flacco, who, if you remember, was a Browns quarterback a couple of years ago before. So he's already been here before, and he threw passes to Njoku in 2023. In that season, the back half of the season is when he stepped in from week 13 on. And in that time, there was a 4-game stretch where the two, Joe Flacco and David Njoku, connected on 5 touchdowns in 4 games. So Joe Flacco helped Njoku David Njoku put up one of his more impressive statistical stretches of his entire career, and is no doubt the best quarterback that he has had to play with. And it's already clear that they had some sort of connection before, so I imagine with a full offseason to prepare for the season, I think that that chemistry can rekindle and even maybe ignite in week 1. This is a great matchup. So the matchup actually makes this 10 times better because the Bengals are just awful. It's a Swiss cheese type of defense where there's holes everywhere, and somehow I think the unit even got worse overall by letting go of Sam Hubbard, letting go of Jermaine Pratt. They've got a new rookie there, but they really haven't done a whole lot to rebuild this defense at all. They've just been letting players go, and it's put together with duct tape and super glue, and it's not going to hold up very well. So you can play this one straight, David Njoku at plus 230. You can play it straight, or you can add it to another play for a nice healthy payout. You find another plus odds kind of prop bet that you like, and you can pretty well stretch that to about 4 or 5 times your money. And that's in just 2 legs. I like those smaller legs, more condensed legs with a little bit larger payout if you feel comfortable with those 2 plays. And I think week 1, this is the perfect time to kind of take a little bit of a stretch, and the plays that you would normally play safe with later on in the season are going to be ones that you can kind of take advantage of right now, because I don't think David Njoku is going to be plus 230 all year. So I love this play with David Njoku against the Cincinnati Bengals in week 1. My next play for the Sunday slates is Tank Bigsby, the Jacksonville Jaguars running back, for an anytime touchdown at plus 155. He plays at home against the Carolina Panthers, and he projects to be the goal line back, the third down chain mover, the open field grinder, while Etienne is more the pass catching specialist with some more spells on the ground to kind of give Tank Bigsby a little bit of a break. But when it comes time to punch it in, it's going to be Tank Bigsby, I would imagine, more often than not. So he kind of earned that role last year. Over the course of the season, I think he now gets more consistency within his role this year. So, now he gets a great matchup already in the first week of the NFL to kind of start off pretty hot. It's a big opportunity against the Carolina Panthers, who were the most generous defense to opposing running backs last year. They allowed the 3rd most rushing touchdowns all year in 2024. And actually it was 3rd, but technically they were tied for 2nd. But anyways, the makeup of this defense even somehow looks no better with the team having let go of Josie Jewell, still having concussion symptoms, so now they're relying on a rookie in Christian Roseboom, who's an okay linebacker, nothing special. I don't think he's a Josie Jewell by any stretch of the imagination, but he'll do okay. Anyway, they haven't really improved the defensive line or anything like that. They added some depth. They added Trayvon Moehrig to the secondary, but that doesn't really affect much with Tank Bigsby. So I think that Bigsby is capable. He's already put it on the stat sheet. Capable of 2 touchdown performances with a full-ish workload. And like I mentioned before, I believe his role is going to be more consistent and at about 10 or 15 or more touches per game this year. So I think we can rely a little bit more on some consistent play and kind of base some things around that as well. So it won't be like last year where you really won't know what game he's going to be playing full snaps. I think it's going to be a pretty regular occurrence. So it's a nice little plus play for what actually may end up being a pretty entertaining game in the Carolina Panthers playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars. My next play here is, and I've had banners the whole time, forgive me all, but I'll at least wrap up the show with the last few here with some banners. Stephon Diggs, we're still ironing out details, so bear with me here this season. We'll improve it and get you guys some good looks going forward. So, but continuing on, we've got Stephon Diggs for an anytime touchdown at plus 175. He plays at home against the Vegas Raiders in week 1. There's a pretty juicy matchup in all honesty. I'm pretty excited for this season. A lot of teams made some pretty good progress in terms of personnel upgrades and are looking pretty looking to be on the upswing compared to where they were a year ago. There's some teams that haven't really done a whole lot, but it looks like they're going to do great. Anyways, we won't get into much of that. But the Patriots are one of those teams who've added and bulked the offensive line. They were a bottom end unit last year. Now I'm not going to say it's going to be a top end producing team, and it's just going to make a complete 180 flip. But I know, Stretch, if you were bottom of the barrel and you made significant additions to the offensive line, you're by default going to be a better unit overall. And now they've added some pass catchers. They got Stephon Diggs in there. They drafted a rookie Travion Henderson to the backfield, so they've got some more playmakers, some experienced players, and some more. It's not just a whole bunch of guys like it kind of has been, where Pop Douglas was the wide receiver 1 and Ramondre Stevenson was the RB1, who is 2 or 3 years removed from a top 10 overall running back season in fantasy, but we're not going to get into that. But anyways, so they've got better offensive line, more weapons, and a new coaching regime. Mike Vrabel comes in from Tennessee and projects to kind of right the ship, I guess, if you will, for what would be the first time since Bill Belichick left. So I'm pretty excited to see kind of how things work out here with the New England Patriots. But Stephon Diggs predominantly going to be the primary pass catcher for this team. So I imagine that they're going to be looking to set the tone at home early this season against Vegas. And with Vegas, honestly, if we take a look at Vegas's weapons on the offensive side, I think Drake May is going to have to pass a hefty amount to stay in the game, because with Ashton Genty, Brock Bowers, Geno Smith now throwing the ball, and they've got a new coaching regime, I think they're going to be coming out firing, and it's likely that Drake May will probably start out behind or have to play catch up much of this game. So I think he's going to be airing it out plenty. I think Stephon Diggs is going to be the unquestioned primary pass catcher on this team, and likely a primary red zone target as a result. So Vegas' secondary is mediocre at best. So if you want to talk about matchups, I don't think Stephon Diggs is looking at any respectable kind of matchup that's going to keep him from doing whatever he might want to do on the field in week 1. So Drake May is more than a capable quarterback to get Diggs plenty of targets in and around the red zone, and potential for some touchdown upside there. So from what I've heard and seen, Stephon Diggs is not hampered at all or whatsoever by that ACL tear from a year ago. So I think it should be wheels up for a guy like him in week 1, and I'm hopeful for a solid season from him and improvement from the Patriots overall. So like Stephon Diggs there at plus 175. All right, here, my last play for the week for Sunday football. We're still, like I said earlier, we're still ironing out details here and still kind of getting a feel for how I want this show to go. But for week 1, we've got some nice juicy plays for you. So my last play here before I get into the quick mentions later on is Jameson Williams for an anytime touchdown. Detroit Lions wide receiver plays against the Green Bay Packers away at Green Bay. So this won't be the week's highest scoring matchup. This ought to be a good affair where both teams are going to kind of smack each other in the mouth. There might be some back and forth punches, not literally, but there's going to be some big plays on both sides of the ball. But I'm not going to say it's going to be a high scoring affair. Nonetheless, Jameson Williams took a major leap forward last year compared to his first couple of seasons in the NFL, and he was the team's go-to target for downfield big plays. He cracked 1,000 yards, scored 7 touchdowns last year, and from what I've heard throughout the offseason, the Lions have nothing but praise for Williams. He's gotten praise from multiple teammates, coaching staff, and the team and coaching staff is even saying that they want to throw the ball downfield more. So more usage for Jameson Williams. Now, the Green Bay Week 1, again, it's not the greatest matchup, but the good thing is opposing defenses often don't have the type of talent left in the secondary to guard a guy like Jameson Williams effectively, because in all honesty, he's talented enough. He could be one of the more primary pass catchers and probably take more volume, but with the kind of role and the makeup of this team, his role has pretty well been the big play guy, the downfield guy. But nonetheless, he's got higher end talent, so he ends up playing against opposing teams' quarterback twos because they have to focus more on Amon-Ra St. Brown, Sam Laporta, Jahmyr Gibbs, and David Montgomery. So Jameson Williams, being the big play specialist on this team, kind of plays to his advantage and the matchups that he gets. Green Bay's secondary is pretty respectable, so they're gonna put up a little bit of a fight. But I think Jameson Williams is going to be taking a pretty significant leap this year, and I think he could pretty well have his way with CB2s from about any team. So I got a feeling that there's going to be some opportunity here for Jared Goff to connect with Jameson Williams for a deep ball and hit some pay dirt here and cash in on our plus 220 odds. So I'll absolutely be sprinkling Jameson Williams into my bet slip this week in hopes to cash out in week 1, build that bankroll, and come into the season pretty strong. So that's going to do it for the primary part of the show. But I do want to throw out, again, as I mentioned kind of off the top, this is going to be the best week to place your touchdown props because it's after this week. We have data, we have statistics to go on, we have box score production to go on. The books are going to be more sharp moving forward. Now is when everything is juiced up. It's the perfect time to take your shots, place your bets, and I guess do things you otherwise wouldn't. I'm not saying drop your rent check on it or anything like that, but take a few more chances and jump on values you like, and don't feel bad for going for guys like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry coming in at minus 145 for an anytime touchdown against the Buffalo Bills, and same with Christian McCaffrey, minus 145 for an anytime touchdown. And the fact that these payouts are actually better than Jalen Hurts, who I mentioned earlier in the show, screams that these are anchor leg values to have a secure leg and a parlay without taking too much from the payout. You kind of feel a lot more comfortable about that one leg, even though it kind of brings down your payout a little bit. Even you pair it up with something that I've mentioned from this show, you'd be looking at 3, 4, 5 times your money. But here in a week, these minus 145 odds for Derrick Henry and CMC are going to jump to at least minus 200. So if you want to take a shot or get in on your Derrick Henrys and your popular guys, now is going to be the time because they're going to look like Saquon Barkley at minus 190 or worse from week 2 on. So I'm not going to make a case for a guy like Derrick Henry. You know what he's all about. The box score pretty well says it all. The same applies with Christian McCaffrey. He's looking at a lot of work in week 1 while the pass catchers recover from injury, and Kittle projects to be the lead receiving target alongside Pearsall. The best odds on guys like this to score that we're going to get all year. So if they hit pay dirt, again, these lines are going to jump up significantly next week. So don't feel bad for jumping on guys like Derrick Henry and CMC, even though the payouts aren't all that juicy. This is going to be the only time you're really going to want to jump on it, or it's going to get worse throughout the year. So I just want to throw that out there. Now's the time to jump on those guys like that. So there's your show. There's your touchdown parlay buffet. I'll go back over the menu here so you guys kind of know what you're looking at. We're looking at George Pickens for an anytime touchdown at the Philadelphia Eagles at plus 215. We're looking at Jalen Hurts for an anytime touchdown, minus 150 at home against Pittsburgh on Thursday Night Football. On the Friday night, we've got Keenan Allen, anytime touchdown, plus 330 at home against Kansas City for week 1. Then we get into Sunday football. We've got David Njoku at home against Cincinnati, plus 230. We've got Tank Bigsby at home against Carolina. Anytime touchdown is plus 155. Then we've got Stephon Diggs at home against the Vegas Raiders. Anytime touchdown is plus 175. Then we've got Jameson Williams at Green Bay in week 1. Anytime touchdown is plus 220. That's going to wrap it up. thank you all for rocking with me. I hope you like what you saw today. If you have any questions, throw them down in the comments. Let me know of some lines that you like, some touchdown props or specific lines that you like. I just cover touchdown props in this show, but I love talking sports betting. So throw down your favorite lines and let's help each other make some cash, and maybe we can help each other build that bankroll this season. So good luck in week one. I'm excited to roll with the season. So hopefully you guys saw enough that you want to show back up next week and continue rocking with me. So again, we'll see you guys next week in another episode here on the DFSG Plus channel. Again, my name is Axton Harding, and this is the Touchdown Parlay Buffet.